Look out, guys. I
No
think it's
way.
working.
No way.
I think it's
Oh,
working.
are we live?
I
Check,
believe
check,
we're
check.
live.
All right.
Um, we're a day late,
And
kinda.
a dollar short and a day late.
That could be said as well. As a lot of guys probably seen last night, we had an issue with our provider that puts on today's bite. Their Google server or something or other went down, so we had to wait around forever and just finally made the call to go ahead and do it tonight instead, guys. So appreciate everybody coming on tonight. I know we're a day late, dollar short, like Dustin said, but got some good stuff I want to talk about this week as well and show you some different things and hear what you guys have been up to and kind of what your plans for. But Dustin, tell us what's happened over in Oklahoma as far as the weather.
And the weather keeps bouncing back and forth for beautiful day and then terrible day. But we got an insane amount of rain honestly, the last 2 weeks. We've got a couple days where it just came down all at once and really's got the rivers rolling and the water's coming up a little bit. But we needed water really bad. So I'm not complaining. Got a little
Yep.
bit of that current that you like. So we
Mm-hmm.
got that coming in and the fishing, the water really murkied up. I just went yesterday and it's not near as clear as I thought it was going to be, even in the main lake, but still found fish really deep, 30, 35 foot of water probably, and just setting on bottom. This is
Wow.
maybe 25 foot of water on just setting on bottom. It took me a minute to actually hone in on them because you could barely see them. And even if the brush pile's there, like there's no fish on the brush, but down there under towards the base, there'd just be a little covey of them instead of a wolf pack. There's a little covey because they're kind of
Yeah.
huddled up, you know. But yeah, you drop your bait down there and you just really have to be patient with them. The water's cold and muddy, so they would just slowly come up. Pecan cream was. I'm just jumping right into my today's bite, I guess. But
I guess so.
pecan cream was the color, and
Mhm.
caught some dandies. The ones we did catch were really nice. Went out with my dad actually, and then we did some blue cat fishing afterwards and did well with it too. So the bite's doing good at Grand. I don't have any complaints. I've been complaining pretty hard about it lately, but you know what? It's picking back up. The jig bite is good. The fish are getting aggressive. I like some cool water. The water temperature was 60 degrees, so probably by the end of the day, 63 or 4. So still pretty cool water. And the fish are starting to move a little deep. After this rain settles, I'd expect them to go 30 to 40 foot and be beat bopping around. So,
Mhm.
and the fish are fattening up real well and the deer are going crazy. It's just a great time of year. Christmas is around
Yeah.
the corner, and then after Christmas is my birthday. I've got so many things in line for my wife to get me. It's unbelievable. So,
I'm sure she's listening and taking notes as we're
yeah,
speaking.
she's actually across the living room here listening.
Yeah,
So,
probably rolling her eyes at you right now.
yep.
Well, you did get something new. I know you got a new hoodie on, and you can actually
Yeah, see,
the
I'm
model
sporting
for
it. I'm sporting. I figured you'd be proud of me
I
throwing this
am.
one on. Yep, yep. 10 out of 10 recommendation on that bad boy for
Kind of
us. It's,
see if we can see the backside of
yeah,
it. Show
Sun
her.
Hoodie is pretty bad boy. I'm liking. Can you see it?
Yeah,
Maybe.
the hood's in the way a little bit.
Which way do I move?
Just move your head up. Yeah, there you go.
All right.
Backside of it, you can kind of see half the logo anyway. That's the new
Got a
Sun hoodie that we just got out.
little elbow grease there.
There you
It's
go.
pretty slick. Yep. I'm digging it for sure.
Yeah, it's uh, man, I actually love how those turned out, and like I said, we've got some more of those left as Christmas gifts. So, Miss Linda, I know Mr. Bobby would love one, and a lot of other people would like them as well. So, let me know. Shoot me a message either on Facebook or email us, and we'll get you set up how you can order them and everything else.
You
We've
probably
got
don't have a
some
very
left.
many left, I bet, because you didn't get really a whole big order, so I
I
don't
didn't
know.
get a tremendous amount. I got 50
Yeah.
something, but and sold quite a few. A lot of these guys that been fishing with me have got them, and also I've mailed. The lady at the post office is getting to know me pretty well, so
Oh
I've been
yeah.
mailing them out as well. But we still have some left in stock. Got some other
Perfect.
things down the pipeline on some more crop connection gear that I'm working on right now that can't wait for it to come in as well. Appreciate everybody that supports the brand and what we're doing. Without you guys watching and commenting and hitting that thumbs up for us every single week, today's bite wouldn't be possible. Special recognition goes back to even what's on Dustin's head right there, Bobby Garland Baits. They kind of come
Amen.
to us I guess 2 years ago with this idea about today's bite and kind of
Can you believe it's already been 2 years? That's
I know
unbelievable. That's
it's,
unbelievable.
it
My
is.
goodness. And we still got people crazy enough to watch us. I sure appreciate it.
You know, we look forward to it every week. I know even Dustin and I start bugging him usually on Tuesday afternoons. Hey, what's what we want to do tonight? And kind of setting the game plans. And we usually
Yep.
talk before the show as well, and have
Usually
different
it's
people.
all Brad's idea. I just kind of hop on here and try to help best I can. But Brad is the mastermind of most of it. Don't let him lie.
Well, it takes two to do it right.
Oh,
And
yeah.
definitely, it takes you guys watching and supporting it
Absolutely.
as well. So I
Yeah.
definitely want to
Randy
appreciate
Dugan.
it.
He says, "What's up, fellas? Been working too much and not fishing." Well, we better fix that, buddy. It's getting to be a good time of year to go out and fish the lake. Another thing about the lake right now is I'm not noticing very many party boats. Actually, zero to be fact. The last time I was out, we seen 2 boats the whole day. So I'm loving that the boat numbers are down. You kind of get the lake to yourself. It's a beautiful time to go out there and rip them for sure.
I see Kemp. He says, "Hey guys, had a really good weekend. Coleman Moody put up a tournament on High Rock in North Carolina for the hurricane relief. Raised over $12,000.
Look at
That's
that.
awesome.
That is
Broke
awesome.
his personal best twice within an hour, 213 and a 220.
Holy smokes! That hurricane done threw in some big ones in there. Is what happened.
That's
Man,
awesome. We love to hear those. Any kind of support in the
yep,
community kind of feels like that.
that's awesome.
Hats off to those guys for doing that for all those folks up there. Um, keep hitting that 25K Crappie Connection hashtag on your comments. Helps us out more. You can realize. Also, the thumbs up. I think we've got 61 right now. Try to hit 200 every night that we come on live. I know you guys can do it with me. And I'm going to kind of tell you my today's bite fishing report. Actually, I haven't fished the last 2 days, but I fished Monday and last week as well. So I'm going to kind of kick it in from what I saw last week into what I seen Monday. And, I thought about this week's subject lines, and it was, mistakes people make when it comes to crappie fishing and different other things. But and I'm gonna kind of discuss those with my today's bite fish report on how fast fish kind of change up on me. Everybody knows I've been really doing a lot of long lining over the past 3 or 4 weeks, and last week the water temperature got up to around 72 to 74 degrees, and it made our fish kind of lazy, and they actually went deep. And normally when I look for fish and to long line, I'm wanting them up in the water column, and I'm wanting them suspended, and I want them aggressive to really have a good long line bite. But I noticed those fish were going deeper as the temperature started rising, the water temperature started rising, and even the air temperature. But those fish started sinking down, and I adjusted to them by going deeper, and we still had some really good catches, but I really didn't think that was probably the best technique. And you say, well, how can you get jigs? And I was targeting them roughly about 19 foot deep was really the target area that I wanted to get my
That's
jigs.
pretty deep around there, by golly.
That is, and you
Yeah.
think moving at
Seems
over
like
a mile an hour, getting them 19 foot deep.
wow. Yeah, you're going over a mile an hour.
Yeah,
I'll be dang. You were scooting.
scooting over a mile an hour, probably 1.2, 1.3,
Wow.
getting them to that 17 to 19 foot deep. And I've seen a lot of guys different pulling, and I'm talking last week, midweek, and it's going to change with these cooler temperatures. But a lot of guys, I can tell how deep they're pulling by how the areas they were pulling. I think a lot of guys were pulling too shallow for them because that's what they were catching them beforehand. But if you look at your electronics and you see these fish going deeper, and you say, well, all right, how can I get deeper? Of course, my answer is going to be use bigger jig heads.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I did.
Bigger jig heads and go slower, or can you keep the same? Yeah.
I want the speed for the most part when it comes to that.
Gotcha. Make
So
that
I want the double quarters, roughly a half ounce of lead slung out the back of the boat. But we're going about 1.2, pulling 2 quarters, getting down to 17 to 19 foot deep. Gotcha. And our average catch during that time frame was anywhere from 20 to 35 keepers a day, which
that's fair.
That's a good day on the lake. I mean, for me, if I can hit 20 keepers during the day, I think I've had a good day on the water. Of course, it's not a double limit day, but it's still
Hey,
a really
them Mississippi fish are different, so 20 of those go a long ways.
yeah. And the bite just kind of got slower as that water temperature started to get higher. The fish really didn't go any deeper. They stayed where they were, that 17 to 19 foot deep, 20 foot deep. So I thought my baits were really in the strike zone to say as far as the depth range, but I noticed that it was probably the speed that I needed to adjust and go slower because they were just getting lazier.
Yeah.
So we started live scoping then last week, and they were lazy. I mean, once you put live scope down, you can tell the temperament of fish are really quick on
Oh
how
yeah,
they're
they don't
responding
take
to
long
bait.
for sure. Mr.
And
Dean, he said, okay, go ahead, keep going. My bad.
oh,
I cut
well,
you right off.
I was going to finish this,
I was about to lose the comment, so but you'll clean it up in a minute. Go ahead.
but I noticed those fish really wasn't reacting to baits uh, dropping down to them and a retrieve away. So I knew the long line and bite was decreasing. And I picked up, and I knew they were really keyed in on dark colors just from the long line bite. But I picked up a bait, I guess last Thursday or last Friday, and slung it down to those fish 17, 19 foot deep. And really the bait of choice, because they were sluggish, the water's warmed up, they really wasn't in a big feeding mode, so I downsized. And we talk about downsizing a lot, and then probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, I'm looking for a aggressive bite, so I upsized to the slab hunters. But this past week, I had to downsize, and this was definitely my beta reckoning.
Now,
Was
what size of jig head did you use?
That's a 1/32 ounce.
So is that the same one you pulled?
No, no, no. I
Oh,
was
this was
pulling
the
two
sniper.
quarters.
Gotcha. I'm like, dude, how did you get that 19-foot deep?
No, no. Well, even on this setup, my typical setup when I'm live scoping is a half ounce or a quarter ounce above the jig head. But to get them down to that 19 foot, I wanted to drop down pretty quick on them, so I put 3/4 of an ounce weight up above a 32nd ounce. And
Gotcha. There you go.
um,
That's That's actually the same exact setup I did fishing the 30 foot of water here yesterday. Was
mhm.
a half ounce above of a 32nd or 16th. I switched between both.
Well, I went to a 3/4 ounce. I even went heavier than that.
Lord, you'll use a full ounce sometimes, though, won't you?
Yeah, oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. If I'm moving, but those, the stay on top of those fish. But
Yep.
how the bite even changed from last week. The water was warming up. The fish were done got lazy, and you think about what made them get lazy. You're thinking warmer water should make them more active. And sometimes I feel like in the fall, a warming water trend can actually decrease the bite, at least on some of the lakes that I've typically fished. So I felt like I needed to downsize and slow down to get those fish that really went in a feeding mode. And it could have been the full moon, who knows? But I didn't notice a time frame that was really key. I noticed that the presentation was key. So I downsized, dropped it on the fish's head, used the itty bit slab hunter in the hummingbird color, which is a purple
Oh,
color,
that's a
not
deadly
pink.
color.
Not pink. It's a purple color.
It's got a little pink tint to it.
And that's the Overbite jig head by Crappie Pro right there. And the 1/32 ounce was my key baits last week. And also, same thing Monday. And not to pick on Tony Van Norman, but I seen him out there fishing Monday, and we fished the same lakes. There was only, I think, 4 boats on the lake Monday because the wind was so strong, and really couldn't fish in the same areas that I had the week before that. And I seen a lot of guys going down there where everybody was concentrated before the wind picked up. Well, I knew I didn't want to fish out in the middle of the rolling waves just because I knew that's where the fish were. I had to kind of adjust where I could have a good presentation, especially knowing that the fish wanted a bait sitting on them.
That's when you wish you were long lining in the big ways.
Well, if they were aggressive, it wouldn't have bothered me.
Well, yeah, true.
But they were lethargic, so I knew I couldn't long line and really catch the fish that I wanted to catch. So I had to kind of change up my thought process. And I looked at my map and I said, all right, those fish are mainly concentrating in from 19 foot of water to about 24 foot of water. And I just looked at different areas on my lake map on my unit and said, all right, this area right here is the same depth of water. It's got to be some fish in there. And sure enough, it was. And Matt, he's usually on the today's bite watching as well, but he went out with me Monday and sure enough, dropped down, started seeing fish, started catching them, ended his day with his limit, before lunchtime.
That's
But,
epic.
I think we all kind of rushed to what we and how we caught them the day before, or we had a buddy catch them the week before that, and we go to that area and stick with the same presentations. And so I think, the biggest mistake that I see a lot of guys doing is just repeating past instead of looking at the conditions and watching what the fish are doing actually.
Yeah,
And it's easy to get caught up in that.
for sure. I catch myself doing that a bunch.
Let's hear that report.
Well, I lost that one, but I seen John Gathright jumped on here. And how are you doing, by the way, John? Congrats on the buck again. He said, I think he was ordering some good Bobby Garland baits. He hit me up here the other day asking for the code Crappie Connection 15. Get you a little discount on the lurenet.com. He said the bite was good, an 1/8 ounce with a baby shad, 15 to 20 foot deep. So, John, is this at Millwood? I'm assuming it's at Millwood. I'm wondering about that lake sometimes, so I need a little better fishing report at Millwood. Is there a lot of people fishing it? I mean, how is it doing? Because I haven't heard much on Millwood in a while. But Dean said something along the lines of this. He said he went to the lake, and he's somewhere in Georgia. He went and shot a 140-inch 10-pointer and then caught 35 crappie. Now, Dean,
He's died and went to heaven, sound like.
Yeah, exactly. Dean, it sounds to me is your tag is filled and you need somebody to come help you kill another one. Just so happens I don't have a Georgia tag yet, so I can fix that. You just hit me up and we'll go kill another 140 10-pointer and we'll go catch 40 crappie instead of 35.
See if you can improve
that. That sounds like a heck of a day to me, buddy.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. No doubt. Old Georgia, that's a big deer for Georgia, I believe.
I got Tom. He's asking a question about the head turner jig heads. He said, what would be a good bait to use for roaming and suspended fish with the head turner?
Oh, yep. I saw that one earlier, too.
Well, kind of, you got a lot of options there.
Yeah.
For the head turner, in my mind and what it was designed for is a moving bait for sure. So either the full size slab hunter, and this is a 2 1/4 inch bait, and that's the live minnow. Been a deadly combination.
That's a deadly bait right there.
And also the Bobby Garland stroller. Both of these baits perform extremely well with the head turner. So the slab hunter and the stroller, both of those baits will do you good, Tom.
I've done great though with the baby shad. Honestly, I think you could put any bait in there, even when you're sniping fish for sure. The live roamer, I've tried all kinds of baits in it. I mean, it's pretty dang good. For aggressive acting fish, you put it like he just said, put a little bigger style mean bait in there and really make them slam it. I mean, they'll knock that thing when they're eating them. They'll really hit it hard. John Guthrie says the river channel, plenty of fishermen. So the fish are roaming at Millwood right now. That's impressive. Man, that's a special lake. That's a fun time. When it's route.
I see this changing up things too, on the Barnett, as this water temperature climbed back up into the low 70s, our fish went back to wood. They went back to structure and to brush. So I kind of anticipate with this cold front that we are having pushed through right now, I see these fish starting to want to start suspending again, like in the river channel. Yeah. And even like Eagle Lake, where I've been fishing at as well, those fish that have been deep, I feel like they're going to come up some, and they're going to be back to a good long line and bite before long over there, I would feel like, just because they're going to come up and start feeding. So I think this cooler weather will actually help our bite in the fall. And the kind of opposite, what do you think about heating water, cooling water in the fall versus the spring?
Man, I don't know. I think there's this. See, fall's not my favorite time to fish. Well, it just depends on which lake. Like you said, they all have different attitudes. Every lake's different and has a different personality. But Grand Lake to me has not been nice in the fall. Like it can be a struggle. The fish get deep on me, and it just can be tough. But as far as other lakes that I know of, like in Kansas, there's one right now that's on absolute fire in the river channel, and the fish are super aggressive with the cooler water. So I guess it depends on where you're at and what you're fishing on the cool water thing. But certain areas, yeah, it's my favorite thing, and then certain it's not. Now, when it hits February, March, a whole different ball game. But a fall bite to me can be pretty tough. It's definitely not my favorite time of year, but when you find them in the fall, you can really catch them. Like they're pretty dang aggressive. You can use a full bait, and they're really fattening up for the winter time. So fall can be good. It's just not. It's I guess it's too wishy washy for me. You're always getting a warm day, a cold day, a warm day, a cold day. When it gets either dead of winter, dead of summer, those are my favorite. But when it really starts bouncing weather, it's just inconsistent. So depends on what day you ask me if I like the cold weather or the the cold fronts or warm ones.
I think you kind of hit it too, and you said about the personality, and I've talked,
Yeah.
and we've talked even on today's bite about different lakes and personalities, how some of them turn on at different times of the year, and you know, I think it's definitely plays a big factor. For me, I think fall it's up there with I don't know, I like them all as far as the time of year goes, but usually don't have the wind factor as much. But this week's been different. Now it's been real
Oh
windy.
yeah.
This,
We've had bad wind here too the last few days. It's been brutal.
but it seems like to me that either in the fall, either it's really windy or it's really calm, and
Yeah.
it's not a lot of that middle ground. Either you have really windy or really calm. I like those really calm days, of course.
Yes, for sure.
Even long lining, I mean, it just
Yeah.
makes everything so much nicer when it's calm. But
I can
it seems
agree
like
with
we
that.
got a lot of either ors is either really windy or really calm in the fall.
Yeah, I agree. Jerry says Fork is showing out. The fish are getting out on the deep timber in the channels. Man, oh man. Like Fork's still, I can't believe they're still crappie in there after you've tore them up, Jerry. It's still kicking them out. Yeah, I actually seen a post today, I think, of tailgate full of some big lake fork fish. So,
Yep, no doubt.
Jerry, do you think that'll hold through the winter? Does it stay kind of the same, or like does the fishing stay on fire in Lake Fork, or is it more of a fall bite and then it can get tough? See the personality of Lake Fork anyway. Like
Yeah.
we said, they all got different ones.
Reggie, definitely, they had a benefit this past weekend that I was blessed enough to help them out with. I donated a fishing trip for them. They brought in $55,000 for that charity event. Super proud, super great event they did it, and like I said, I'm very proud to help out with that.
That's impressive.
Hey, from Texas, Daryl Moore. I'm gonna catch back up with you guys.
Fishing in Arizona is heating up. Crappie for life. My goodness. A lot
Charles,
of
I was
people.
able to fish LOP in Cato Lake this week. Had success on both lakes. Caught most of my fish. I don't know what he caught them on. Oh, okay, I see it. Deep timber and deep flats on the edge of river channels using the Bobby Garland baby shad, watermelon, sweet tea, gray ghost,
Ooh,
hen tiles. I've been working.
watermelon sweet tea. That's a goodie. That's one I don't use enough.
Randy's asking about, and this other guys can be able to chime in here as well, Randy, and help you out. But Dustin and I'll be glad to help you and answer this question. But what kind of voltage are you guys sending to your black box? I'm making changes to my boat now to get better picture, and I'm starting there. Well, Randy, I can tell you flat out, I've tried some higher voltage. I didn't see any benefit of it. Uh, I'm running a lithium battery by a mad scientist buddy of mine here, Michael Sylvester, and it's a lithium battery, 100 amp hours, what I've got on my boat, and starting the day, I mean, it's running about 13 and a half volts. I haven't seen a big advantage of running higher volts, but some other guys might chime in and see if they have. But
Yeah.
what about you there, Dustin?
I definitely haven't noticed running higher volts making a huge difference. I was running a lithium. It's one of them Life Pros or something off of Amazon. If you guys have seen those, I actually got it given to me from a great client of mine. So I put it in there and used it, and I think I knocked it over and something happened to it. So it screwed up. So no luck with the lithium. It did me good though for a long time, and it worked, and it was running I think 13 and a half, Brad, kind of like yours.
Mhm.
But now I switched. I'm getting ready to get another lithium because that's just the way to go, especially when you're out there all the time. But I've got just a deep cycle, uh, normal 12-volt battery, and it works great. It'll last all day. So
Mhm.
you don't have to go get the nice fancy one, but I sure would recommend getting a lithium and hooking her on there just because it's so nice to be able to have something you can guarantee is going to last you a while. So
Yeah.
as far as lithiums, man, there's so many to choose from. It's tough. I'm not a real pro on all that yet, so uh, kind of just do your research on that.
And that's some other guys on watching the live tonight. But if you're in
Oh yeah, you'll get a
Mississippi,
bunch.
definitely look at Mad Scientist Lithium. Like I said,
Hmm.
he's a good buddy of mine. I nicknamed him the Mad Scientist because whenever he kind of started looking at lithium batteries and trying to make them and such, he's the kind of guy that just went haywire and dug into why they're made and how they're made and tore them apart and all kind of scientifical stuff, I guess you would say. But he's a great guy. So if you're in Mississippi, you definitely want to check out Mad Scientist.
Man, here's a fella I ain't heard from in a while, but
Uh-oh.
my goodness, Caleb Jones, how you doing, buddy? He speaking of, I believe he's got some lithiums with Sea Light, but he's the Sea Light man is what I call him. He's got we got the power brakes, the crappie brakes, all that. He's got Sea Light brakes and a really good system he's coming out with. He's already
I hadn't,
got a really do what?
I hadn't seen Caleb either in a long time.
Yeah, I know. It's nice to hear from you, Caleb. But he's got a system already for the crappie brakes, and they're bad to the bone. Super nice. I've used them, and they work. But he's also come. I think he's coming out with something that's real nasty with the crappie brake world. So we'll see what he's got going on. But he says Dardanelle is showing out in deeper water on large stumps and trees. Pulling and pushing water makes a big difference as well. Yes, sir. Got a little fishing report from Caleb.
Chris, he's asking, does the Crappie Connection 15 work on the Bobby Garland hats and lures on Lure Net? I believe it works on all the stuff on
I was gonna
Lure
say,
Net.
I bet it does.
I mean, I think everything on Lure Net. So, but it's Crappie Connection 15, no spaces. Let me put it on there for you guys. I'm gonna
It
put it
even works on his fishing trip, guys. If
on.
you show up to his trip and say Crappie Connection 15, it's like a password, and when you say that, he gives you 15% off the trip. I do as well.
All right. Stephen Sullivan, he uses a 16 volt. Now, Stephen, he's a stick, so he might be on to something there.
He just may. Tyler Babbitt says the first freeze is coming soon. Actually, tomorrow morning it's going to be 28 degrees. So, yeah, I just saw a post. Actually, I need to go unhook my water hose outside. It's going to be all froze up.
Wow. Last week we were in shorts, or I was anyway, shorts every day and no shoes on fishing, and just perfect weather. Now it's going to be cold this week, so that's just I guess weather and how it is. Buster Flowers, he pulled crankbaits and longline jigs on Cypress Lake last week. Water temperature was 70 degrees. Buster, how did you do, buddy?
Chris Lovelace, be careful with the brand you purchase on lithium batteries. I had to eat 3 Dakota batteries. They wouldn't return my call. I currently run Mad Scientist and never had an issue, and
Yeah,
they didn't make it good. Yeah, you definitely do have to be careful. There's a lot of stuff with the lithiums. I feel like you can get yourself in trouble, so be careful.
I would agree with that.
A lot of money you can wrap up in those batteries and get in trouble with. So
Um,
Caleb Jones said he's been standing on the interstate exits peddling change to buy a motor. He must need a motor for the boat. That's why we ain't heard of him much. He's probably ain't got a dang motor.
that hurts. Last year I went with repowered my boat and I put a Suzuki on it, and knock on wood, I love this motor so far. I have not had a bit of issue with my
It's
Suzuki.
definitely listening to you in the shop right now.
Oh no, I hope not.
I'm just teasing. Yeah, Caleb, I seen you sold your baby here recently. He had a nice rig and he just sold all of it. So I'm sure he's getting something else stirred up. We'll see soon, I'm sure.
We're at 135 likes right now, guys. So if you haven't hit that thumbs up for us yet, do that real quick, and we'll get that number up to 200, which is our goal every today's bite. So I know we can knock that out. Got a good report from James. He said, found a big school with 70-degree water, 22 foot of water with down sonar, spot locked and cast it to a limit of 30 eaters with 1/16 ounce orange head, opening night, Bobby Garland baby shad.
Man, he
Great
put the
report.
smoke on them. Smoked them. Sound like maybe no live scope. Maybe.
No,
No live scope, whack 30 cast into him. That's what I'm talking about. That's a good time. You want to really, really feel the thump, turn that live scope off. It'll remind you of the good old days. Stephen Sullivan, I use the Powerhouse lithiums. They have an excellent charger as well. They also have an alternator that will charge them when your motor is running. I got you. That's why I see some of them guys running their motor floating around chasing roamers.
I mean, my 100 amp hour lithium that I'm running on for mine, I'm running 2 units, my front unit and my 2 units are front and my black box, and I can run it for, I'm gonna say, all that running for, I'm gonna say 20 hours.
Heck yeah. That's it.
That's a lot of fishing.
Yes, it is. Kim Southard, he said, we got that 100 amp lithium from Amazon too, and it works great. Got a 126 SV and a live scope 32. Haven't ran it down yet, but we have used it for 12 hours twice, and it was about the same price as a normal car battery. I think I paid 175. Been running it for almost a year. I can attest to that. That lithium on Amazon was really nice until I knocked it over. I knocked it over boating, like in real rough water, and it flipped over on me a couple times, and I think I tore something up or something happened. I don't know what it was, but it definitely hurt it and jacked it all up. So I was a little too rough on the equipment, sounds like to me. But it did work great.
Buster was he's fished Cypress Lake in northeast Louisiana. He said a long line and jigs and pull crankbaits in channel 8 to 12 foot of water. Wendy caught some good eating fish. Fish was very scattered. Tim Joyner, I think I love this comment, Tim. He's telling everybody, and I like it. He's right on spot on cue for me. He said, don't forget to like and share. Absolutely, guys. Appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure. You got your own people now giving commercials. That's unbelievable. Yeah, that's unbelievable. Man, I had another good one and I just went blank. But I got a good question from Caleb Jones, the man himself again. He's on it tonight. I think them crappies got him stirred up. He's wanting a motor and everything.
I think
He said, tell us your opinions on fishing during a full moon. How do you guys see it affecting the bite?
Yep.
Oh, that's a good question.
You
You
know,
get
last
asked that a lot, actually.
last week I fished on full moon, and we were getting ready to leave I think it was last Thursday morning. I was getting ready to leave, go out that morning, and actually on our Facebook post, I took that picture from Lake Washington as we was getting ready to leave and go fishing another lake. Moon was full, and so I kind of made a mental note to pay attention to see if I could really pick up a difference. Last week I didn't feel like I did. And I know a lot of guys, and I've seen it kind of transpire the same way. It seems to me that sometimes those fish will bite better during the middle of the day after a full moon. But last week, I really didn't notice a peak time when it comes to they wasn't biting in the morning or they bet better at lunch or anything like that. They kind of were pretty consistent throughout the day on the same pattern on bait. Only thing I noticed they went deeper, but that was probably because of sunlight. But I'm not 100% sold to sit here and say I think it's always going to be better in the morning or it's always going to be better at midday. It's just
You have to be there to find out.
You have to be there and have your ticket ready to go.
Yep.
What about you, Dustin?
Man, I've not really noticed too much. I feel like I struggle more on a full moon, and it might just be because it's in my head a little bit. I feel like it's all in the confidence you have. Like it's just certain days and certain pressure days, like I do with hunting. I have a lot of confidence on certain days. When it's a full moon, I like it. I think midday traveling is a lot better. I think the fish feed at night really heavy with a full moon. I think they can just see a little bit better. It's almost like when they get under lights and they feed at night, but they have light all over the lake now, so they kind of really get after it. So I think you got a little slower bite on a full moon, but that's just me personally. I think there's a ton of opinions on it, but
Yeah.
do we really know? I don't know. I mean, there's not really a scientific.
To me, it's probably one of those factors, just like weather. I think weather's probably a bigger factor, and temperature rising or falling is probably a bigger factor than a moon phase.
Yeah.
Um, it's like I said, Mr. Bobby, he's a great example. He's fished with me for a couple of years now, but the first time he went fishing with me, he wanted to cancel because of the Farmer's Almanac showed it being a poor fishing day. I'm not picking on you, Mr. Bobby, but he wanted to cancel that day because of the fishing almanac, and I was like, "Oh man, throw that thing away." And we wound up catching a double limit that day in about 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
And every time we'd catch one, I say, "What that Farmer Almanac say, Mr. Bobby?" And he's like, "I don't want to hear it." I think he
Yeah.
finally figured it out to throw away. I don't think it's the biggest factor as we.
No, like I said,
I wouldn't.
I think we think a little too hard into it. But if you think about it, like no matter what moon it is or what the weather is for us, I'm still eating 3 meals a day. I promise you. So I still got to eat. I'm gonna throw down and eat a lot of food, no matter what the weather is, no matter what the moon is. So I figure the animals have still got to eat and be the same way too. Maybe just a little different timing, but not much. So you still can be able to catch them. The only time I would say watch when you go out and really pay attention to this next time is an east wind with no cloud cover. Just remember me telling you that. An east wind with no cloud cover. I'll dang near want to turn around when I'm driving to the boat ramp, but I don't. I still go. I still
Yeah,
go.
and that's kind of funny. We were fishing this fall, and I had some guys on the boat, and one of them actually made a comment that they're like, "Man, I remember Dustin saying an east wind, bright sunny day. It's gonna be he'd rather not go or something." And I'm
Yeah.
like, "I don't listen to Dustin." And we actually went out and had a great day. And so it's all about your mindset, I think.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
well, I try not to
See, I
pay
would have been
attention.
at home. You'd have had to send me a picture that it was good.
Yeah, I try not to pay attention to and get things worked in my head because that's the easiest thing to sit here and kind of downplay what your bike's going to be before you even go out there.
Yeah.
Uh, and it's kind of like deer hunting. I mean,
It's
you
only
just
been
never know.
yeah, it's only been a small amount of times, but I'm telling you, I've had fish on a heck of a pattern and I've been whooping them every day. And then one day I'll go out there and it's beautiful weather. I go out there and the fish aren't moving or doing anything. And I'm like, man, let's see, what's the weather doing? I look up, not a cloud in the sky, and the wind is blowing from the east. And that's happened to me 2 to 3 times. So now I'm sold. East wind, bluebird day, get the heck out of there. You can find the fish, you just can't get them to eat.
I was wondering where you were, Jonah. I mean, he finally commented, which Jonah, you always comment when on our live. So I think you were actually running late. But anyway, glad you made it. He said the res was absolutely on fire this past weekend. Blue Ghost was a hot smoking ticket. I like it.
Ooh.
I don't hear that. I
Hot
don't hear
smoke
that
should
color
be
a
yeah,
lot.
hot smoke should be a color of a jig. Hot smoke. I can already picture what the jig look like, and I bet you'd smoke them on it. It's like a dirty smoke. See, I've got a lot of people on here saying that east wind ain't right. I'm
I,
seeing it.
I think he's usually after a high pressure kind of moving through on the
I'm
east.
thinking telling you, I've seen it firsthand too many
Yeah,
times not to be sold. I like it. Thank you guys for having my back on the east wind thing. Even if you just feel bad for me and you're trying to cover.
yeah. Don't cover for him,
Yeah.
guys.
Brandon Thomas, Northeast Oklahoma report. I know he's been whooping them. Crappie are
Me-
holding tight to stumps and brush along the creek channel edges. Anywhere with rocky humps near the channel. Water temperature 61 degrees. The best bite is between 9 to 3 p.m. Perfect fishing report right there. If you can't go to those lakes and catch them, you got something wrong with you. I'm telling you. 61 is exactly what green is too. So, but they are connected. That's probably why.
Joshua, he fished Ross Barnett Sunday, caught 20 deep in the river channel. And this is another stick. I see actually some more guys chiming in here tonight. Chris Lovelace, he fishes. I think he posted on the post 200 plus days. I probably would say
My
about
goodness.
he's always out there. But he said fish always bite. Just have to figure out what they want. And that's
For sure. Chad Rogers, east wind, fish bite the least.
I
West
know.
wind, fish bite the best. Chad, it's good to hear from you too, buddy. I feel like I haven't heard from you in a while. Hope all is well and you're doing good. You probably should be getting ready to kill a big deer sometime soon. Usually he's due to pop one off his porch or something. I remember that big buck you shot in your backyard here not too long ago.
John Lee, he said, never being scared of a full moon. I agree. John Lee helps me go. We got it last week, and we pounded on pretty hard last week.
Heck yeah.
Edwin, you know, these reports are in. I definitely, my hat's off to you, because let us know on these tough bites too. You know, he was skunked yesterday, and I cannot pronounce that. Maybe Dustin can.
What is it? Which one?
The comment on the screen.
I'm not seeing it. It's froze, so sorry. I would definitely be able to pronounce it, though. I'm telling you. No doubt. I'm batting 1,000 on that so far. And now I just want the challenge so bad.
Natachi Lake in central Louisiana had a 3-inch rain, and they would not bite at all. That can happen. But, you know,
Yeah,
probably a day or so now after that, they get accustomed to it, look for some current breaks.
Yeah.
That 3-inch rain
yeah.
could have brought some current.
You better go to the welfare hole, folks.
No, don't say that word.
Oh, my bad. Oh, man. That's funny.
Yep, John Lee.
Giving Brad secrets out of here. My gosh.
He said, when of the least east, fish bite the least unless you have live scope.
That's true. That's a good point, too. That's funny. Oh, yeah, there we go. Chad said, had a big one walk across my yard yesterday. Gun season starts this weekend. Uh-oh, Chad. You need some reinforcement. I'm telling you guys, I've got a lot of fishing trips lined up for some hunting grounds, so y'all just keep me in mind. Richard Brown caught him yesterday at Horseshoe in northeast Arkansas, suspended around 18 foot in 20 to 26 foot of water using Snacky Lures Slab Snack. There's another fishing report there, northeast Arkansas. And that is some detailed. This is good stuff. 18 foot of water and 20 to 26 foot of water. So I mean that's you can just let 18 foot out. Now you're going to catch them. Just letting you guys know right there.
James on YouTube, he's asking, what's the typical res bite between Thanksgiving and Christmas? Successful guide trips in. You know, it goes back to the weather forecast. I have, I actually recall 10 or 12 years ago, and it was Black Friday, probably the quickest double limit I ever caught before live scope for sure, was Black Friday, and we caught 60 keepers in about 2.5 hours on Black Friday.
I'll be fishing Black Friday now. Thanks a lot.
But I remember everybody, and there was quite a few folks fishing at the time, but we were pulling double eights in the river channel on both sides of the 43 bridge that Black Friday. And I'm talking probably 12 years ago, but I remember that bite. But yeah, all through, you know, December, and the fish are always biting. It just depends on if you can catch it on a calmer day or a windy day. That helps out a lot. December can be awesome. There's no other words. I mean, I've had so many good trips in December, so don't overlook December.
Agreed. Around Christmas time and into January, I've had great fishing trips as well.
Ken Driscoll, he said, clear blue skies are tough bite days for me, and I like some clouds in the sky as well. Ken.
For sure.
Got another thing, guys. I'm gonna let you on tomorrow. I'm actually going to Arkansas, and I'm gonna do a podcast with some of their biologists, and also a crappie club that's based out of Lake Chico on some of the things they're doing up there, even the biologists and different things. So if you got some good questions that you would like for me to ask a biologist, I will see one tomorrow. So I need some comments, or message me, or you can email me if you like some questions asked to a biologist, because I have an interview set up tomorrow up in Arkansas that I'm going to do a podcast up there with. Looking forward to it. Got some really neat things that they're doing that we're going to discuss. And I don't want to let too many cats out of the bag, but my hat's off to both of those groups up there. Their Department of Wildlife and also this other crappie club. I think it's just the Lake Chico Crappie Club, and they're not a fishing crappie club. They're just a club for the lake. But they're doing some awesome things that I can't wait to talk about with them.
A good question here. Matt Singley, he says, how many fish are y'all seeing with eggs starting already this fall? Out of the 30 I cleaned the other day, 20 to 25 eggs are starting. I have noticed eggs are starting big time, no doubt.
I think I've started noticing them about 3 to 4 weeks ago. So I'm gonna say around October they're starting to develop them, and I'm sure you've seen it too, Matt. Matt fished with me Monday, but the fat layers are starting to build up fat, and they're starting to build on their winter coat, to say, I guess you would say, almost. So I just started seeing really the eggs start to develop back in October.
Oh, you got a lot of good questions coming up for the biologist, Brad. So you have to go back through these comments tomorrow and write them down.
We're at 186 likes, guys. We're almost there. So if you're just joining in and you hadn't hit the thumbs up for me, do so right now. It will help us out, even if you're listening to us later. And tremendous thank you if you're listening later and hit that thumbs up. But we're at 186 right now between the two platforms, trying to hit that 200, guys. So please help me out and get that on there. The crappie Cajun caught
ticket.
No, it's the crappie Cajun. Caught 20 in 12 foot of water, 8 foot deep, tight lining, a black and chartreuse wahoo black and orange jig on Toledo Bend. Man, that's still on my hit list to get back.
Yeah, that's on mine too. That is on mine too. Agreed.
Coleman, I need to get out here to North Carolina. I would like to go to North Carolina, and we're looking at some shows possibly going out there this coming year. I would like to get out to the East Coast. That's kind of my understanding where long lining kind of was really spearheaded back 15, 20 years ago, as far as the tournament side of things, for sure. Earl Brinks, Kenny Browning, and a lot of guys from Mississippi that fished Magnolia back in the day, they recall them coming over here and whooping our tail as far as long lining. And those are the guys that kind of inspired me to really dig into long lining. But it's kind of the roots of long lining in the tournament world is over on the East Coast. So I'd love to get out there and do some pulling even.
You want to go pull the St. Johns River in Florida?
I would love to pull
St.
St.
That would be epic. I'm in on that one if you ever go.
Mr. Henderson, no, this podcast will not be live. This is going to be pre-recorded just because of locations and everything else. This is going to be a recorded podcast. Also, on the same token, just released a podcast tonight, and it's on YouTube right now with Brad Whitehead and Clay Blair. And it was right before I went smallmouth bass fishing. First time I ever did that was this past fall. And let me tell you, you guys that have smallmouth, you're very blessed to have those fish. It was a phenomenal day up there smallmouth fishing with Brad Whitehead. If you're ever looking to go on an awesome smallmouth bass fishing trip, look up Brad Whitehead over in Pickwick. We had an absolutely blast. Like I said, we sit down before we went out fishing and talked about crappie fishing in the fall and the winter and such. So make sure you listen to that new podcast. It just got out tonight. But got a video that I did shoot some of the footage. Caught definitely, my first time smallmouth, so I caught my personal best, but I did catch one over 5 pounds that day. That was an absolute giant up there.
Stephen Sullivan with a fishing report. I got a quick limit on Enid. Water temps 66 degrees. Caught them in 6 to 10 foot of water off of the bottom. Mardi Gras color with a 16th ounce orange jig head. Nice fishing report there. Oh, Enid. That's another lake I haven't fished before that I hear a lot about.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah, Chad, I see a lot of guys asking about the Asian carp question. I did ask them a biologist at Kentucky Lake about Asian carp, and I kind of see some of their thought process when it comes to Asian carp and crappie. I still have some more questions when it comes to Asian carp and crappie populations, but I know Eagle Lake right now is a good example. It has Asian carp in there, and the crappie are thriving pretty well. So I don't think it's the death on crappie when it comes to Asian carp being in the lake. Not what I've seen so far, but I think they're having some effect on them.
Oh, Dean said he's fishing a push-pull tournament this weekend off the St. Johns River.
Mm.
And he killed a 140-inch 10-pointer at Georgia. I'm not. This ain't adding up, Dean. You really are living it. I'm telling you.
Kent, I definitely will, and I know one of the things that we're going to talk about is actually improving crappie habitat. Some of those guys at the Lake Chico Crappie Club, that's one of the things that they got with this biologist with was crappie habitat, and some of the things they took in place and to improve Lake Chico was crappie habitat with the biologists and some different other things as well. So it's going to be a really good thing.
Preston Clearly also guides on smallmouth on Dale Hollow, scoping them in 70 to 100 foot of water, chasing them, casting swim baits. His first cast was a 4.5 pounder. It was also a lot of fun and nice change of pace. I plan to go with whitehead too. There you go. See, Brad's a believer. He's ready to go back and rip them smallmouth, ain't you?
Brad Whitehead's texted me tonight, and we've already made plans for me to go back next year. I will be back on Pickwick to catch some smallmouth.
That is a fun time.
That was epic.
You know who I haven't brought in here in just a little while is old Peanut, my little baby boy Bo. Let me just show you guys him real quick before we hop off of here. I got to show you a little, not so little man. He's a little tired and a little cranky, but just say hi to everybody, Bubba.
There he is. What's up, Bo?
He says hello.
He's bright-eyed and bushy-tailed tonight.
Oh, yeah.
As Dustin and I were trying to get on live last night, he wasn't as happy, I don't think, last night.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't having a good time. He was upset we couldn't get the thing loaded there. Tell him both.
He's just looking at Mama right now, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he knows his lifeline over there.
I've got Alan. He's asking a question about who was Bobby Garland. He said he had bought hundreds of dollars of his baits, and don't tell my wife, LOL. Alan, my understanding, Bobby Garland was a gentleman up in Missouri or Oklahoma, one of the two, I think possibly Missouri, that started pouring the original baby shad. It had to be back probably in the 80s. But it was a gentleman and that started his own bait company a long time ago and coming up with different styles and really went after the soft plastics. But I know he is deceased. Actually, the man Bobby Garland of Bobby Garland Baits. So maybe, and we do have some history on him, and it was from a podcast that I did about 3 years ago, and it was with how they do bait colors with Gary Dollahan and George of Bobby Garland Baits, where we actually discussed some of the history of Bobby Garland Baits. I'm pretty sure on that episode, but it's about 3 or 4 years ago, so definitely can tell you more about it off of that one because both those guys can do it. They explained a lot better probably than I can.
Oh yeah, yeah. I wish I would have met old Bobby Garland though. Just to he turned something into by himself, turned into a worldwide deal. It's pretty amazing. But now it's went through. I believe Bobby Garland's went through a couple of owners now. So, but his
We're at
name's still
206. Appreciate you guys for hitting that button tonight for us. Helps us out more than you imagine. Like I said, if you're looking at Bobby Garland baits and you want to purchase some, check out lurenet.com. We've got a discount code that gets you 15% off, and it's Crappie Connection 15, just like it is on the screen there. And it's good for more than just Bobby Garland baits. It's good for all their stuff on lurenet.com. Mr.
he's
Charles
giving a
Henderson, I
little
see.
show.
I see the question. He's saying, after the spawn, how can you tell the difference between a male and female? Dustin, do you remember? You should remember.
Man, tell a male and female after the spawn.
Remember the dot?
The dot? Oh yeah, the dot though. I wasn't. I mean, that wasn't really confirmed. It's only a Grenada I can for sure do the dot, but there is one that was pretty dang strong that a guy showed me here not too long ago. Is the dot on their gill? There's a black dot on their gill plate on the back of it, and a male's is a really dark black, and a female's is a lighter black. And I could tell a male and female pretty dang easy doing that. So there's another thing to look at.
That is interesting. We will have to look at that.
That's something to kind of dig into a little bit. It's a lot lighter black on a female is that dot on their gill plate, and then the males are a little darker black. And I mean we were nailing it. He showed me that, and we went through when we were cleaning them, and it was batting 1,000. So that's a pretty dang good way to try to see if you can tell. But other than that, like in Grenada, you can look at their butthole, and there's a black dot. There's a few black dots sometimes around it on a male. In the spring, that's for sure. But as far as at home, it didn't really show that as well. I mean, we had so many people looking at fish's butthole on the on the boat.
I think Charles just wanted to bring that up tonight.
Yeah, exactly. The booty dot. Look, Crappie Cajun said, "I still never seen the booty dot." I guarantee you, he just looking at it. Oh man, yeah. Try
Chris,
the gill plate thing and see if that works.
I will. I'm going to test that out here shortly. Chris, we will be back on Tuesday nights. This week's just a glitch in the provider that we use to put on today's bite. They had a glitch in their system that caused us not be able to go on Tuesday night, but we will be back next week, Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, regular track. And let me knock on wood again because I don't want to jinx us again, but we will be back on track next week on Tuesday nights. Same time.
That's a good point. Brad, ask them biologists a way to tell male and female without having to clean them. That'll be a good question right there. Let's answer that once and for all. That'll be great. I don't know how Brad's going to bring that up, but I can't wait.
I will put in my notes. I've got a few notes so far, but like I said, hit me up with some of the suggestions that you want to ask questions. And like I said, it's going to be a really neat podcast just because I'm getting, the fishermen's right there, what they're doing and working along with biologists to make a fisheries better. So it should be a really good podcast. Can't wait to do it. And it was good enough that I made sure I didn't have a guide trip and for me to travel to Arkansas to produce it. So I'm looking forward to get up there with those guys. I've been kind of watching them and what they've been doing. And finally, I was like, man, I got to get up there and talk to them. And thankfully, everybody was like, yeah, come on up here. We'd love to do it. So
we'll hear all about it next Tuesday, hopefully, then.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. I know we got some cooler weather coming in. What's your guys' prediction on what it's going to do to the bodies of water that you're fishing with this cold front coming in? I'd like to hear that. I know you guys got your own mindset. How are you going to change up, or what do you see your bite forecasting on the lakes that you fish? Brandon, Chad, Alan, all you guys, how do you think this cold front's going to help you or hurt you? Kent Driscoll, all you guys, Reggie, let's hear what you guys can put out. What's your prediction with this colder weather?
I think
Mr. Abraham Johnson, I'm glad you made it, Abraham.
Oh, yep. He said, time's up. Well, thanks, buddy. Everybody say bye to Bo.
Good night.
It'll be a crappie slinger here before too long.
That's another good question, Kent.
That is very good question.
What type of shad benefit the crappie the most?
That is a very good question.
I would say probably gizzard.
Think so? I'd say no. I don't know. That's tough. I mean, you never know. I guess it just depends. Each lake, some lakes don't have it, you know? Who knows?
I see a couple different answers. Jonah, he said the cold front is going to turn them on. Charles Henderson, he's going to put more clothes on. Well, that's all.
That's a good answer there.
Mr. Reggie, he's going to slow down and get in the brush.
Toe warmers are a must. Put the toe warmers on, folks.
I think another thing that I've seen over at Eagle Lake, and we talked a lot about wolf packs last year, and I didn't see too many, and I haven't fished the Barnett a whole lot in the last 3 weeks, but most of the wolf packs that I saw over on Eagle were actually small fish and non-keepers. So I kind of overlooked wolf packs here lately.
Man, they did you so good last year.
They did me so good last year.
Man.
Mr. Chad Rogers, he's the one I kind of got the wolf pack terminology from.
Yep. He's also the one I'll never forget the story of him. Did he drop his rod in the water?
Yes, right beside me with his uncle.
Okay. Yep. There it is. Yep.
I had a guide trip.
I can't believe you ain't brought that up this year yet.
I know. I actually forgot about it until you reminded me.
Oh, man. I won't forget about it.
Chad, tell us about that. What happened?
That's funny.
I can tell you where we were. We were by the breakers on the lower end of the lake. And I think Chad was actually pre-fishing for a tournament the day before. Yep. He was chasing down a fish. Tell me if I'm right or wrong, Chad. He was chasing down a fish and had some clients in the boat. We were watching him, boy, and he was
really
stretching on over the edge of it. And I don't know if the fish bit or exactly what happened, but his pole jumped out of his hand, and he almost went overboard for it, I believe. But
hey, some of them poles, I'm telling you, some of them poles do jump out of your hand. They try to get out away from you.
It's happened to me. I mean, it has.
Thank the Lord, Huckabee rods float. Let's just say that. That's saved me a few times.
Brian, they said can't hurt winter pattern, small schools over deep water, maybe some single roamers moving. Yep. Kent, he's calling cool weather will make them school up and snap. They will start moving to deep standing timber here on Percy Priest. I wish we had those big, and I've seen them school up when it got cold. And I know a lot of those black crappie lakes, and actually Wesley Sasquatch, he actually sent me a Snapchat this week of his fish schooled up over there. I haven't seen those big schools here yet. I hope we get them because I love to sit back, take my 75th series and cast to them babies. That gets me fired up. Keeps me warm at night.
I hear that.
216 likes, guys. Thank you so much for doing that tonight.
Everybody stay warm.
Next week, Tuesday night. Do it again. Knock on wood. Everything goes fine. But appreciate every single person that tunes in and watches every single week and comments. You guys mean the world to us. Absolutely. And we will see you next week.
Thank you guys very much. Dust out. Rolling out.
Rolling out. Holla.